Hey there, nerds, doing a little drive time review, and today we have Wet Hot American Summer, first day of camp. Now, this might be absolutely wrong, and a lot of you might take this as trolling. I hated the movie. I did not enjoy it. The movie came out in 2001. So I started watching the first episode and realized, you know what? I'm going to have to go back and watch this. Maybe I'm missing something. I just feel like I'm not as well prepared to watch this if I don't remember what happened in the first one, in the movie, even though I know this is a prequel. So I went back and watched the movie, and mind you, the reason why I'm watching Wet Hot American Summer in the first place is the rave reviews, friends, fellow nerds talking about it. I'm like, all right, obviously I missed something, so let's go watch it. So I go back and watch the movie. Again, hated it. Just hated it. I didn't understand why everybody thought it was so funny. I'm a big fan of The State and what they did with MTV. I thought that was hilarious. I enjoyed their comedy. And watching the movie again, I'm like, you know what? A lot of these instances just don't belong in a feature-length film. Again, if they were in like a TV show, perfect. Well, Netflix to the rescue. We get to see that opportunity. So now we have a prequel 14 years later. Can they do it? How are they going to do it? And one of the things I really enjoy is they went with the first day of camp, whereas the movie was the last day of camp. So we have just about everybody returning, which is fantastic. Kudos, because you have people like Amy Poehler, Bradley Cooper, Paul Rudd, just a plethora of actors who have hit it huge since Wet Hot American Summer came out. So they're obviously a lot more popular and a lot busier. So it's hard to squeeze this into the schedule. Kudos that they all came back. But then we have new people who are in the show now who weren't in the movie. So somehow between the first day of camp and the last day of camp, we have to rationalize, explain where they went and what happened. And I think that's one of my favorite parts about this show, is that we do see a lot of new actors come on board. Jason Schwartzman is a big one that's top of mind. And they're not there in the movie. So we have to explain what happened. And I think that's fantastic. I do love that part. I also love how we took from the movie into the show, it's one day. And all these events happen in one day, which is beyond ridiculous, but that is the humor of The State, and that's what I enjoy, is the absurdity of that. I'm not a big fan of Michael Showalter. I don't know why. It's nothing against him. He's obviously a talented dude. He's done quite a bit. Obviously his work on The State was great. For some reason, the character in Wet Hot American Summer drives me nuts. I enjoyed when he played Ronald Reagan. That was cool. But for the most part, I don't like his storyline in the movie. I liked it a little more in this, but I thought his character was just unbearable to watch. And I guess that's kind of the point, because he's constantly being played around with and dumped in emotion with the women. But this one was a little funnier, but I wasn't a big fan of that. One of my favorite introductions is Paul Rudd in this, riding in a motorcycle and just kind of leaping off and letting the motorcycle crash, and he just walks right in. Great. He, by the way, I don't think has aged a bit. I don't know his secret, but it's pretty amazing to see him in the movie and then the show, and he looks almost the same, whereas everybody else looks different. But I do like how they still play how they're in their teens and they're camp counselors, and I think that's hilarious. We get to see, this is kind of a treat, Amy Poehler and Bradley Cooper when they were still together, and how they're so much in love and they continue their drama kick. But at the same time, we get to see the beginnings of Bradley Cooper and Michael Ian Black getting together, which is funny. It's kind of cute, and just the whole drama stuff is funny and taken over the top, and I think we can see it's tongue-in-cheek, especially with the people in the movie who have been in the performing arts arena and they know how that goes. So that was fun to watch. Janeane Garofalo, once again, was fantastic. I like how we get to see David Hyde Pierce. I wasn't sure how they were going to bring that in. I thought that was great, how we get to see him in college as a professor. Richard Schiff, I thought that was great that he's got a little cameo in there at the college. I really enjoyed the show better than the movie, specifically certain aspects like saving the camp, how we're going to save the camp, some of the just tropes that are you know, sometimes overplayed, but they're fantastic, where there's a rivalry between the two camps, that Camp Firewood and Camp Tiger Claw, and we show Camp Tiger Claw, and we have, you know, basically douchebags wearing collared shirts, and it's hilarious because he's wearing like 4 collared shirts, and you can see the different colors of the collars, and it's great. It's not pronounced, it's not like, hey, look at me, it's just, if you're paying attention, you can see that, and it's great. It's hilarious. It's obviously the Preppy Club, and they constantly mention that they are the preps. And at the end, we see that there was a truce, and it's kind of funny how it plays out. I'm not going to give anything away, but I enjoy that. We have other cameos like Chris Pine, which I didn't even really recognize him at first, and then you realize, oh my gosh, there's Chris Pine. Great. I thought that was well played. Elizabeth Banks is back, and you would have never, ever, ever in a million years guessed her backstory, but it's great to see her backstory. I thought that was fantastic how they created that, why she's at the camp, and how she plays it out at the camp, and then everybody at the camp falls in love with her despite basically her deceit. I think this show, much like The State, isn't necessarily funny as you watch it, but it's much funnier to talk about it, which is one of the reasons why I had to watch it, so that I could understand what people were talking about and be able to partake. While I was watching it, there's a lot of moments where I'm like, this is not awesome. But then as I talk it, as you can tell now, I do find it, oh, that was amusing, that was cool. So again, it's got that State feel to it where they get you talking and thinking about it. Several other cameos that I thought were great. Michael Cera, John Hamm has one of the best cameos, and I think Christopher Meloni has one of the better storylines in the whole show, which leads up to who he became in the movie, which is very entertaining, I think. H. John Benjamin, who is the voice of Archer. He will always be the voice of Archer. If he's not the voice of Archer to me, he's the voice of the coach in Home Videos, which was another great Adult Swim cartoon that was on. So when every time I see him in person using that voice, I'm like, dude, that's not Archer. What's going on? But he was great as like the head owner counselor guy, and to see his storyline, and if you remember from the movie, he basically becomes the mixed can of vegetables. To see his storyline and how and where it goes for that is awesome and hilarious and perfect. So I'm not the biggest fan of the show. I'm not a great fan of the movie, but as I talk about it, even now I'm convincing myself, wow, the show was entertaining. I'll give it that. So I'm not going to say go watch the movie, because even watching it again, I'm like, God, this is awful. Watching the show, I was entertained. It's small snippets here and there. You can obviously watch them all at once and binge watch, which I'm a big fan of, which I think makes it better. I'm going to go ahead and give this 3.5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Again, I want to hear your experience, because while I was watching it, especially the first 2 episodes, I'm like, oh man, can't deal with this. I don't know if I'm going to make it through. As I got past those 2 and watched the rest of the season, really enjoyed it, especially talking about it, talking with you guys about it, talking with other fellow nerds. So I want to hear what you guys have to say. What do you guys think of Wet Hot American Summer, the first day of camp? And if you have some insight on why everybody loves the movie, let me know, because I still can't figure it out. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below.